You know when you're playing a city builder and you hit a point where it becomes self-sustaining and takes on a life of its own? When you've built everything you wanted, can tackle any challenge it throws at you, and the fun of playing just slowly erodes away until you move on to something else? Well, Against the Storm found a way to solve that problem by becoming a roguelike city builder. Two genres I never thought could be compatible until now. And boy, howdy do they ever work well together. Normally, when you play a city builder, the game ends when you've made a successful city. Its replayability is more about revisiting the game when they've added new DLC, or when you've suddenly started paying too much attention to your local road networks and civic infrastructure. In Against the Storm, your city ends the moment it finally becomes successful, and the better you run it, the more your next city gets rewarded. Completing a city will allow you to unlock upgrades, letting you take more supplies and blueprints as a thank you for the job well done. Not only that, but your cities don't just stop existing once you've won, they remain on the map and provide various trade routes that you can take advantage of in your next town. The better your cities were, the more opportunities will be presented in the next one. The plot is straightforward. It's always raining and there's only one safe place left on Earth: the Smoldering City. As a viceroy of the Queen, you're tasked with going out between storms and settling cities that can trade back with the capital. Like any good roguelike, sometimes you'll succeed, and sometimes you'll fail. A welcome rarity in the city building genre. But you'll never come back to the Queen completely empty-handed, so every failure still builds a stepping stone of future success. As the game progresses, you'll compete with other factions on the map, unlock daily challenges, and more. But before that, let's talk about what it's like stepping into the forest. Having scouted out some nearby locations to the capital, I opted to settle in the Royal Woodlands, a relatively simple forest that provides an ample supply of wood and is under the protection of a local watchtower of the Royal Guard. My caravan this time around consisted of humans, beavers, and harpies that would form the backbone of my settlement. Each species has specific needs and bonuses that help guide your city towards success, and with the additional wood provided from the Royal Forest, I decided to lean on my beaver people in order to best optimize my chances. My opening cards would net me a carpenter building to reinforce this decision, as well as access to small farms which my humans could work in order to help feed the hardworking beavers. The harpies would still have to find a way to earn their keep. While our new settlement was steadily building up and beginning to explore the forests, the Queen decided she would not stand patiently by. Every so often, she would issue a decree, missions to resupply the critical needs of the Smoldering City. Each card completed would net us a reward and reduce her impatience. If the settlement fails to meet the needs of the city, then she would eventually grow irate and order the new colony a failure. We had a clock, and it was now ticking. Out of the opening selection, a clear pattern emerged in our favor. Build farms, harvest crops, bundle them together, and trade them to the capital. The people needed food to last them between the storms, and we would be that lowland breadbasket that would keep them from starving. And so we set forth the task of clearing the woods into nearby glades in search of fertile soil to till and sow. Though the trees were thick, our beavers worked steadfastly, and with each passing storm our lands would grow and we would find more glades to discover. Some contained bountiful resources and fertile land, others would contain the horrors that past storms had covered up. Human explorers fall into who knows what, their remains sent back to the Citadel to assuage the Queen's impatience. With each passing storm, we would unlock new cornerstones that define the strengths of the city, confirming us as the local trade hub in the area, and rewarding us for exploring and taming the lands nearby. Everything seemed to be building in our favor, until we ventured too deep into a dangerous glade and discovered something that could grind our progress to a halt. Graves, as far as the eye could see, were strewn about the glade. On their tombstones lay the name of famous traders and caravans robbed by viceroys of the past whose crimes were coming to haunt us. If we failed to resolve this event in time, then the traders still alive would believe us responsible for this outrage, and without access to the caravans, then our city would be cast adrift in the storm. Worse still, we had none of the goods required for this event, and the clock started ticking as soon as the glade was revealed. In order to keep our colony together, all hands would have to work together or drown in the rising tide. Beavers were reassigned to the carpenters en masse to pump out planks required for the jobs. Our harpies would speedily gather the materials and sail them over to the cemetery as fast as their wings could take them, and the humans would carve out the bones of dead creatures, casting them into our city's hearth for a temporary speed buff to glade events. We would cut it close, but together, the city was strong and would honor the traders that visited us. Our position as the local trade hub would remain secure. With the worst behind us and the end in sight, our settlement began to focus on the finer things in life. Cornerstones were added for crafting beer and getting our people drunk in celebration of our victories. Fine houses were built for the humans and beavers who made up the bulk of our settlement. The Harpies' speedy deliveries, an already forgotten memory in the Viceroy's mind. The city continued to expand, tapping into further glades and discovering even darker secrets and mysteries hidden by the storm. But our farms were bountiful, and the trade goods flowed across the border until the Queen was satisfied enough to recall us to the Smoldering City and prepare for our next assignment. When you return to the Citadel, you get to put your hard-earned resources to use. The city offers a handful of upgrade paths that you need to balance depending on your preferred playstyle. Most of them require the basic food supplies, but as you get up the tree, you'll require artifacts and machinery, rewards for completing different types of challenges on the world map. While the watchtower in our settlement provided us buffs and extra food, you may need to handle threats like bandit raids on your trade caravans if you want to unlock certain trees. The game rewards you for taking on challenges that force you to change up your playstyle, a good system for any roguelike that wants you to keep coming back. In addition, the Citadel upgrades eventually unlock things like daily expedition challenges, a unique puzzle each day to solve for those of us who can't get enough of the game. As the game progresses, your cities will dot the map, and eventually other factions will emerge to compete for prime resource locations and the Queen's favor. Complete or fail enough settlements and the storm will eventually return, flooding the lands that rest below the Smoldering City and allowing the forests to reclaim their territory. With each new cycle comes new challenges, ways to play, and threats to face. Each city provides its own rush of rewards, but even with the loss of your settlements, the new cycle provides an invigorating refresh and world of opportunities. As the Citadel grows, you can see further and further away, pushing deeper into the dark of the forests and the mysteries within. The game provides great incentive to keep playing, and as you get better and choose to increase your difficulty, the game introduces new mechanics like the Blight, which allows you to trade off great risk and potential disaster in exchange for faster production and greater rewards. For an early access game, Against the Storm is incredibly well polished. It looks beautiful, the soundscape is engrossing, the balance seems very finely tuned, and it feels like a fully fleshed title. At launch, the devs released a 6-month roadmap to the full version, including new species and events alongside a host of other updates. I'd love to say I have suggestions or improvements that could be made to the title, but it's very clear to me that the developers, Eremite Games, have a strong plan in place and a path to see it through, something you don't see in a lot of early access titles, especially by a newer dev team. I've been enjoying every step I take back into the storm, watching as my little settlements grow and resupply the smoldering city, only to eventually be washed off the face of the planet and provide a fresh canvas to paint upon. A big thank you to Hooded Horse for introducing me to the game, as well as the ceaseless support of my subscribers over at twitch.tv/agent1. I'm hoping to share more games like this that have really caught my eye, so let me know in the comments below if there's any upcoming titles you're really looking forward to. Until next time.